무궁화 꽃이 피었습니다.
Squid Game Season 2 came out last month. I'm not gonna talk about Season 1 but 2 since I recently watched it and so many people complained about it, so I wanna share my opinion. Last season ended with Gi-hoon being in the airport with red hair. Something rose in him and he came back, not boarding the plane. The thing is, this all would have made sense if this scene didn't exist. This scene should have been the end explanation of who, why, how. But they put a cliffhanger at the end of the last episode of season 1. Now people are saying that season 2 was forced. It was for business, to milk the fame of it. But tell me, what is forced? After putting a cliffhanger at the end of season 1 naturally leads to a new season. If it didn't have the cliffhanger, it wouldn't have the next season. Now some can argue that the force was already decided before season 1 was completed or released. That I agree with. I think this scene was initially supposed to be the end, but they put the cliffhanger to make a season 2 or 3 out of it. Now whose decision was it? I don't know. But I also think that it makes sense because he was never on board with so many people being killed and him getting all those money for his life to go smooth for the rest of the time. So obviously when he saw the game being continued instead of it being a one-time thing, he will try to do something about it. After seeing Gong Yu, it slowly built up in him while going to the airport and he stopped to catch him for the next 3 years. It also makes sense because the main guy, the arranger, Oil Nam, died in front of him, so he must have thought that the game stopped, which changed when he saw Gong Yu at the station. Now that I've talked about why and how season 2 got built up, let's talk about season 2 itself. People are disappointed in season 2. Many are saying it's not thrilling enough compared to season 1 or Alice in Borderland. Let's talk about the Alice in Borderland comparison later and talk about the thrill first. First of all, they're building up a story. Obviously, in every story or drama there are parts. The starting or the introduction, the slow build up, the climax, the conclusion. Now if it's a one season series or drama, everything is included in it only. But when it has multiple seasons, the seasons individually have their specified parts and all the seasons are also divided into those parts. It's like the permutation and combination maths. Season 1 was the introduction, season 2 is the build up and it hinted at the climax, and now season 3 is gonna have the climax and conclusion all together, hopefully, if they don't have a season 4 in mind. This was actually a basic type of series where every part is clear which is which. Some series may have different strategies, like season 1 will have all the introduction with its climax and conclusion, but then again all the seasons will show a new different story and climax connecting to previous seasons, and at the end they'll reach some kind of conclusion that will be the end of it all, kind of like the series Nowhere Boys or even Stranger Things. So for season 2 to be a bit less thrilling than season 1 makes sense, but it was in no way slow or boring for real. From the very start it jumped into things like how insanely Gi-hoon and his hired people were looking for Kong-yu. Even in the very first moments we saw Gi-hoon cutting into his ear for the chip. Then they showed us how every year since 3 years ago, Hwang Juno is searching for the island with the guy that saved him. Even those parts weren't slow or time dragging. Not many unnecessary parts were in it, except this scene reminded me of that prank video where a girl was pretending to be totally innocent until the boy brought up motels and the girl knew more than him, lol.
호텔 1층에 팝콘
코자장 호텔 가봤어?
들어봤어. 1층에서 준다니까?
너 혹시 가봤어?
아니 오빠 들어봤어.
Going back, they showed us how they suddenly found Gong-yu and followed him while being on the call with Gi-hoon. Tell me it wasn't thrilling enough. Tell me it doesn't give you the flashback of you searching, looking for someone for days, and they suddenly came out in front of you when you least expected them. It could be a crush or anyone else, damn. I was losing my shit when Gi-hoon wasn't catching up. I feel like I'm the one losing my target. Even if none of us has ever chased anyone or waited for anyone, it would still give us that anxiety. Be for real now. Then Gong-yu catches those two and kills one through a game. Tell me how it wasn't thrilling. Gong-yu traced back to Gi-hoon and they also played a game. It was also thrilling. The dialogues though, gosh, they make so much sense. Let's talk about it later. Then Gi-hoon joins hand with Junho and prepares straight to go back to the island to trace it. They legit took him from the Halloween club party in episode 2. Tell me how faster or more thrilling you want it to be. Gosh, it's a freaking series, not a 10-minute skit video in YouTube. It gotta have some type of build up or not. Like if it was any faster, those viewers would be the same people asking for explanations. I'm sure there were reasons to show Shooter 11, the North Korean soldier, and her lost daughter and is struggling to find her while also working in the amusement park, and we're gonna find out why in season 3. If not, then I'ma criticize it again after it comes out low. The same people also complained about not having much backstory of the players in this season, so they couldn't bond with them more. First of all, the director Steven in season 1 never intended to show much of flashbacks of anyone, so he already showed the situations before coming to the game. Well, of most of them, like Ali and Sang-woo. Ji-young's past wasn't shown that much either, but we still cried for her. Heck, Ji-young just came in the later episodes and died quickly within them, but we still bonded because the games I guess were shown in a more paced manner. The characters were also kind of explored more throughout the games. They still did them in season 2 too. The games also were thrilling. I was sweating profusely throughout all of them, feeling like I was in them. In winter. How do you not get the thrills? So I wonder how they got her so easily and she didn't put up much of a fight. I mean, she was a freaking North Korean soldier, hello? What do you mean they scared her off to not kill anymore? That didn't make sense. Now let's go back to the Alice in Borderland comparison. I'd like to say they're very different. Yes, they are. Now watch them again. Alice in Borderland is the pure survival game type series where Squid Game is not. The director himself said he didn't just want to make another survival game series. He wanted to add his own ideas to it and make it different. While we viewers decide if he succeeded or not, obviously, but surely it tells us something that Squid Game is based off of real life society and its perceptions and the poor imbalance between the rich and poor. He wanted to show us a vision of how society is so problematic in an imbalanced way, and the problem is in the roots and we can do nothing about it but accept it no matter how bad we feel about it. Not accepting it is hypocritical. He just added a thrill to it. I don't know how people are missing this. Alice in Borderland was made for the pure sake of creativity, thrill, and the genre of survival game. It wasn't made for a grand message to pass. While every series or drama does convey a message one way or another, but not every series' storyline revolves around it. Squid Game's plotline does, Alice in Borderlands doesn't. So to expect the same level of thrill as Alice in Borderland from Squid Game is dumb in itself. Not to mention Alice in Borderland was purely made for the thrills. Some people are also saying Alice in Borderland doesn't have the same hype or fame as Squid Game. Well, I don't agree fully, but I get what they're trying to mean. Alice in Borderland has a huge fan base and fame as a Japanese series. I don't remember any other Japanese drama or series having the same. Not to mention every time people have to praise Alice in Borderland, they have to compare it to Squid Game. It's pathetic. But the fault isn't in Squid Game, the problem is with Alice in Borderland's team. They're not marketing or promoting it the same way Squid Game's team is doing. We see Squid Game themed playing arrangements in places. They're shoving the series on our face. Even Netflix is crazy about it, but Alice in Borderland, what have they done? So obviously it doesn't have the same hype, and its fans get hurt or offended for it, and foolishly they drag Squid Game for every time they mention AIB. They need to stop doing that and genuinely hype up and spread stuff about AIB instead of AIB's production team if they want the same hype, because hating on Squid Game will only create hate and a bad impression for AIB among people who have seen none and are just getting to it. They could also very much end up hating on Squid Game for no reason without even watching it, which is not acceptable in any way. This is very childish. Squid Game isn't also those types of dramas or movies which in the process of making stuff messageful and meaningful make them boring and slower than snails. It has thrills so that we get what they're trying to convey along with entertainment so that most people get interested. To understand things while watching is more fun. If you don't get what a particular show is trying to portray, what fun will you get? It's like math. The more you understand the meanings and the messages, the more you'd feel better. So math conveys no message. Also for the viewers who are saying the ending was bad, no it wasn't. For a season like this, which is a pathway between season 1 and season 3, the conclusion, it's the most perfect ending. If you don't put a cliffhanger after an episode or season like this for the next one, how will it be interesting? Tell me. It was to create the interest. I don't know how people aren't getting that. It's as simple as that. As for the dialogues, they were brilliant, especially between Gi-hun and In-ho. After or in every crucial moment, In-ho would ask Gi-hun questions indicating that the reasons or logic Gi-hun shows are faulty. He wanted to observe and unmask Gi-hun's hypocrisy, and In-ho finally succeeded when he asked Gi-hun at the last episode about others fighting among themselves and dying while they hide and wait to attack the shooters when they come to take the bodies. Gi-hun admitted that they were the small sacrifices he was willing to make in order to achieve the big thing. He finally admitted he can't be equally caring about everyone, nor can he save everyone equally. In-ho finally proved his point of the game being continued to Gi-hun. This is the very reason In-ho was in the game, to make his own points valid to Gi-hun in every chance he got while also agreeing with him. I don't know if at the end Gi-hun agrees with In-ho and the game, but I very much got the thrill of understanding this path and this plot. It was actually brilliant, and this is the thrill you get by understanding the plot of a series. I wanna say everyone has their own preferences. Someone can very much like AIB better than SG, but to compare them is foolish and childish and doesn't make sense. You can also say something is better than the other to you, but to put it as if it's a universal fact is wrong. Lastly, I rate Squid Game Season 2 81 out of 100. Enjoy watching it. Bye! See you in the next vid. Thanks.